you will need to get the job when you will be called for the interview. And that is why you see at the end there will be some training sessions. And during those training sessions, especially for those who are African students, you will get some skills, not only on how to write a CV, but also how to be able to handle a job interview for those who are looking for jobs. And talking about jobs, some people already have in mind a clear career vision, and they have decided to do something. And we have a lot of friends, we have a lot of Africans here in China who are English teachers. And most of the time when they want to do the job, they don't even know how to do it. And they may be professional, like let us say they have been trained to be teachers, but they don't know how to get a job as English teacher in China. And for those who are intending to do that job, we are going to welcome here Mr. Denis, who is going to talk about the practical ESL job hunting, and especially when you are facing the stigma of your origin. As he said, you have to put your photo showing that you are black. Now, if you come from Africa, how can you get a job as an English teacher in China? And we are going to welcome Mr. Denis. He's in Shanghai since some years, and he's teaching. He's a professional teacher and corporate trainer since 17 years. And he's the founder of a company and a networking website called My Everyday English Online Community. It's one of the most active community of teachers. And he's also an associate editor of the magazine Bridge Africa. So we welcome Mr. Denis.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. And I'm the lucky guy because we already had 2 speakers talking about jobs, so I guess I don't have much to say. Right, so, well, yes, I've been an old guy in the industry. I've been there for 17 years, so I bet I have something to tell you about it. And I started it really rough, like many of you, like, you know, arriving in China and saying I'm African and people don't even want to look at you. So my topic is really based on the techniques, and I'm going to be very specific. I think my predecessors, they focused more on like the broad spectrum, like looking at any kind of job. But I'm really specific about ESL, that's teaching English as a second language. And because this is like the starting point for many of our brothers and sisters. When you just arrive in China, you feel like, okay, this big country, where do I begin? And most people will tell you, teach English, teach English. So it looks like it's the easy way in, but actually it's not. And so my topic will be focused mostly on how you can get about the ESL thing. And the second part of the topic is very important because I think that's even why we're here. Like, if we were all the kind of people they want, we would probably have this seminar. But so we're going to move on, and the first thing I want to insist on is you need to know which level you have. So I put them into categories. 3 main categories of ESL job hunters. So I guess this is going to make each one of us here put yourself in one of the 3 categories, whether you are in the ESL industry or not. You have the first category, which is like GHC1. What I mean is job hunting category 1. It's not mathematics, okay. So that category 1 is referring to our brothers and sisters who are just arriving fresh from home. Someone talked about the African accent. Okay, people who are just arriving and you are bewildered, you know, the things you don't understand. You don't understand the language here. You don't know how to find your way around. That's the newbie African ESL job hunter. So then you have category 2. I am referring to people who already have some experience in China, but not in the ESL industry. You're probably a student, so you've been like 5 years here, or you are probably a businessman, and for some reason, you would like to teach English. That's your category. Then you have the third category, the ESL professional. This is the guy who has all the certificates, whether genuine or fake. Well, this is the guy who has the certificates and has a lot of experience, and so you already know your way in the ESL industry, but probably you would like to reach the top. You probably want to get to the position of Director of Studies and so on. So these are the 3 categories, and I think by now you know where you belong. I mean, those who are interested in the ESL industry. So from time to time, if I say GHC1, you know we're talking about, you know, newcomers. I just come. Okay.
Just come.
Then we get to the weapons, because we're talking about job hunting. So let's look at it the African way. When you go hunting, the first thing you think about, what are the weapons that you have? How do you go hunting without any weapons? And I begin with the first one, which is your personality. Because my colleague talked about CV and so on, but what's the first thing we see? It's your personality. When you show up, you need to make that first impression. Bad or good, make an impression in some way. I'm not going to insist on that because my colleague already talked about that. Elegance, charisma. Now, charisma is something that a lot of people don't really get. I tell my students in class that charisma is partly inborn, but you can work on it for those who don't have. There's a reason why somebody comes to you and says, can you give me 1,000? And you said, no. The second person comes in, can you give me 1,000? Okay, without asking any question. Some people just have that charisma. Now, when you show up, the way you meet the person who picks you up, maybe for an interview or just for a first chat, you can make that impression. Show that you're not afraid. You can stand your ground. And in the ESL industry, it's very different because sometimes you have to show up at the school campus. So you have these kids running around pointing at you, people are screaming, people are saying, see who is coming. And it's really different from other industries where you show up in an office. Somebody welcomes you and talks to you. In our industry, it's very different. Sociability. Sociability is seen in many aspects, like inviting you to a dinner. Most Chinese employers will do that. Your behavior is very important. Accept the Chinese dinner, go to the dinner, impress them, show that you can do things that Chinese people do. What they want to see is not only you're a good teacher, but can you blend? Can you integrate this culture? That's what they want to see. And for Chinese people, it's really easy to see that. My Chinese level is really poor, but I do impress them. I would say some very simple things like, okay, my favorite singer is Wang Fei, and so on. And they go like, wow, really, really? Because I really don't know, I have no idea who that woman is, but it's my way to find my way through. I just want to show them that I'm already part of this culture. So think about sociability, and then you have the Polish accent, which it's in black. Well, it's the thing that most people criticize us for, and there are some of our brothers and sisters who complain about that. But to me, I'm saying, well, a Polish accent doesn't have to be an American accent. It doesn't have to be the British accent. A Polish accent simply means speak clearly, what we call in linguistics, RP, received pronunciation. So you speak in a way that people can understand you. It could actually be the Indian accent or the Japanese accent, but as long as it's clear, people can understand you. So don't misunderstand this concept to mean that you have to speak like an American or you have to speak like a British person, because some of us in the strive to speak like an American, we make things worse. You know, you sort of just show that you're not who you're pretending to be. So I speak in a very clear way. I don't try to imitate any accent that they want. So just work on your accent. And one way to do that is listen to the way, some of these tapes that you play for students to listen, the TV shows and so on, that you can at least polish your accent. I want to just tell you guys that I admit that our accent is really strong, especially GHC1. When we just come from home, when I did just come from home, when I got here, I still have some things that I said, and when I listen to that, I can't believe that's how I was speaking. So we have to admit certain things. First step in solving the problem is admitting there is a problem. So please, let's work on that accent. In teaching, it is important because you will have to teach pronunciation, you will have to teach parts of linguistics, which is very important. It's different from other jobs. This is very specific. You're teaching a language. So let's try. English is not our mother tongue. We have to admit that it's not our mother tongue. We were not born with that. We learned that at school. So but we're trying to show that we have what it takes to get these jobs done. Then you have the academic weapons. Your grades at school. This is something, a little trick that people didn't know, but I'll share my little trick with you. The school actually hired me because I told them I had an A grade in English at the O-levels. No bragging here. But it's a little thing. And there are lots of schools here in Shanghai now that are doing the A-level program. And you tell a school that you had that kind of grade at O-levels or at A-levels, they respect you. And I was actually applying to teach in such a school that had such a program. So your grade that you had at school could actually be that hidden thing, that little thing that will, impress your employer. You have to sell your talents that you acquired from school. My example, I always tell them that I'm good at organizing parties, events, school events. These are things that many schools, like kindergartens and primary schools, would hire you for that. Someone who can organize their Christmas party. Somebody who can speak as an MC at the event. Don't hide these things. These things really count in the ESL industry. Then you have the professional certificates. We all know that. A lot of us don't have them. The TOEFL, the CELTA, and so on. You get them anywhere you want. There's some online, very cheap. I won't focus on that. Working experience is also important, and here's the JHC1. They have a disadvantage because either you don't have any working experience in China, or you have some working experience in, back home. And that one hardly counts because they don't care what we have done before coming to China. So if you say, I was the headmaster of St. Joseph's Primary School, maybe people don't really understand what you're saying and say, where is that school? So I always tell them, for people who are just coming, try to sell something about your English experience, not really like teaching in Africa or something. You can come up with something like, well, why in the university I was the leader of the English club. This makes a lot of sense in China because all the schools have an English club. If you tell them you were the leader of an English club, you get more credits than somebody who says, well, I taught in Africa for 5 years. It's the same as if you show a certificate that you got here in China, it adds more weight than saying, for example, I had a master's degree in a university in somewhere in Africa. These things we just have to admit them. You have to say they want to deal with things that they know and they're sure about. You cannot change that. Then pictures taken at work. Audio-visual live demo lessons. This probably you didn't think about. We take a lot of pictures, and like my colleague mentioned, most employers say, send your recent picture. Now, don't just send any kind of picture. It's not the picture in your bedroom. It's not the picture that you took at a party. It's a picture related to, the industry. So sometimes if you have the chance, maybe you have this small tutoring job, or you have a chance to teach a classroom, or you happen to go to an interview, you didn't even get the job. You just went to that school for an interview, take a selfie, a nice one. You know, it creates that impression that they want to see. They want to see that you've been in a school environment, you've been with kids. If you have that situation where the kids are all over you, take a picture. These are the pictures that you share online. These are the pictures, not like you're going to put all of them on your CV, but you have these pictures on some carefully chosen place. Could be on LinkedIn, could be on WeChat, could be on some page that can easily be verified. Then this one, the audio-video live demo lesson, is a very successful weapon. I have used it over and over. The job I have right now, I got it through this one. What do? Get a friend. It's really easy these days. A friend can shoot a 3-minute video demo. Have a demo lesson. When you have your demo lesson, how do you sell it? Put it on Chinese social networks like Youku, like networks that are very easily visited by Chinese. So when at your interview they ask you, do you have any experience? You say, well, I actually have many of my video lessons online, and for example, you can see this one. So when they see that video lesson, what's the advantage? At that moment, they forget who you are, where you come from. They're looking at what you can do. And this is the good chance for you to also prove that you're not what they think. So, LinkedIn is very professional, talking about jobs. That's the one I think we should all have a profile without any advertisement. I'm not advertising them. But there's no way, if you have your profile there, it's an easy way to get into the ESL industry. Because when you create your profile and you mention that you're a teacher, you get all other teachers connecting. You get school recruiters connecting. Now be very careful with your profile. A lot of employers are checking out people on their social networks. It's happening in America, in Europe, here in China. When you say, this, they check you out on Facebook. They ask you a very simple question. Do you have WeChat? Yes, here's my WeChat. When they add you on your WeChat, the first thing they do, they go to your moments. And your moments are going to communicate a lot about you. Things that you even forgot. You're probably drunk at a party, you're really sexy, looking good, and with a lot of people on you. But that is what your employer is going to see. So be very careful if you're in this industry. Teachers from the beginning of time have always been expected to be the model of society. So always try as much as possible to be the teacher. Be the teacher. So that they check you online, they will find you. So you have social networking, it's a mess. Social networking, look at that. We're all into social networking, but know where to keep yourself professional. You could be on Facebook, you could be on Google Hangout, you could be all that, but keep a certain line. There are certain things you don't put online. If you see a picture that is not that decent, please, you can keep that. Now your achievements in China. This is about GHC2, people who have already lived in China for some time. Maybe you were not in the ESL industry, but you did some things. Maybe you started a project, you did a research project, you organized an event, or your Chinese level is really good, you have HSK and so on. These, your connections in China can also get you the job. Don't forget to mention that at the interview when you're talking to I tell people, talk to the employer when she says, is your Chinese very good? Show him that your Chinese is good. For those of you who are in GHC2. So then, you know the market. You know the market, just like if you go hunting. Do you know the forest? Do you know the jungle? You need to know how the market looks like. That's the market. First category, public schools. That's how the salary looks like. That's how the salary looks like. But be careful, I'm taking the statistics from Shanghai. So this might not apply to you if you're somewhere else, but this is how it looks like in Shanghai for public schools. Here, the job is very steady, but look at the next one. Most friends say that's where the money is. The private sector, private schools, international schools, and so on. If you happen to be in one of those, you know what I'm talking about. Then you have the third part of your hunting ground. Is this one, tutoring. We have a new term for it, KKK, pa. This, you have tutoring, going to students' homes or children coming to your home. Then you have company staff training. I must insist on that one, it's really good. Company have, and then you have the salary range. So know the market, because you have to know how to answer that question. What's your salary expectation? That's why you have to know the market. And then now, what else can you do? Maybe after looking at all this, you say, nah, teaching is not my thing. There are other things you can do. In this category, I'm going to recommend it to GHC3. People who have some experience in the industry. These are other things. You're probably tired of teaching, and you're at my age. You're having gray hair. You just want something a little bit more relaxing. You should look at this other aspect. So you have, apart from ESL teaching, you can do proofreading. There are many jobs. Proofreading, editing. They told you I edit a magazine. And then you have content writing for websites. A lot of Chinese companies now are beginning to have an English page for their websites. This is a really fertile section. You should know how to also hunt for jobs. There. You have ESL teacher training. This is very lucrative too. You can do training. And under this you have the curriculum design and management. ESL, that is where we have some of our colleagues here. We have colleagues here who have actually been able to, set up their own school. That is really one way to beat the system, to tell them, look, I cannot only work for you, we can set up ours. So then you have English for specific purposes. That's really fertile section 2, where you have to prepare students to go to universities, help them write their essays, and so on. There are lots of jobs in that section 2. So it's not only about teaching. You can also be in the ESL industry, but doing other things. Now we get to the problem. What's the problem? The stigma. That's the thing that we all dread. They say, I'm not from these 5 countries. They say, I'm not a native English speaker. They say, I look different. I don't want to use it that way. And here, what I mean they here is referring to recruiters and employers. It's important to know that this is about recruiters and employers. And so, how do we beat this stigma? Tricks. Some basic tricks. Okay. That demo lesson I told you about is the thing you should push on. When they tell you, are you available for interview? Don't fall for the trap. I tell them, yes, I can come over for an interview and offer you a free demo lesson. The employers love this. When they hear a free demo lesson, they would like to see it because they're not losing anything. And I always say, if they let me have a demo lesson, that's it. They're going to hire me. So that's where our strong point is. Take time to prepare a good demo lesson, record it on video, practice it at home so you know it, you can offer it live, you can offer it online too. Have your demo lesson ready. Then, there is a phone call that can work like magic for you. Some ads put a phone number there. If you see any ESL ad with a phone number, that's a good way in. Before sending your CV, make a phone call. Plan your phone call and make it. The purpose is to impress them. When you talk on the phone, they feel, oh, this is the teacher we want. And I'll tell you something that made me laugh. Talking on the phone, I impressed the employer by talking in a way that he himself couldn't even understand me. But because he couldn't understand what I was saying, he thought, this is the kind of person we're looking for. So they want somebody who can impress them on the phone, and then they know, well, I couldn't really understand, the foreigner was talking too fast here. So with that phone interview, sometimes they just skip that part and they tell you, okay, can you come in for a demo lesson? And of course, in the phone interview, you're also selling the demo lesson. You're telling them, I'm available tomorrow, and if you have time, I can give you a 30 minutes demo lesson so you can see what I can do. Then this one, my colleague already talked on this, which is customize your CV. Don't spray your CV on employers. There are schools that are looking for specific things. You really need to highlight those things. I don't want to go back to that. So this is for GCH1 because they're really desperate, and you will see in the mistakes that we usually make. These are the common mistakes. Don't sound too desperate. It works a lot in the teaching industry. Many will tell you, how soon can you begin? When do you think you can begin? This is a common question. When you say, I can begin right now, where is your school located? They will say, I will call you back, and they don't call back. Because this means this guy has really nothing doing. He's probably been looking for a job for about 6 months, and to most employers, this means you are not the kind of teacher they're looking for. I tried it in my situation. Parents call me and they say, can you tutor my daughter at home? And I say, I'm sorry, I don't have time to tutor your daughter. And the next thing they do is they call and they say, Chen Mewenti. If you want to do it, we can pay any amount. Because they see that this teacher is so busy that he doesn't have time for our daughter. So that must be the teacher we're looking for. So don't sound so desperate. And, well, this one, I don't want to go there anymore. We have said, don't look like a rock star. Try to be who you are. And here, a brother asked me a question and said, but what about those white brothers who go there in shorts and in sneakers and so on? And I said, well, that's fine, but because they are who they want. We are not who they want, so, don't give them an excuse. Don't give them an excuse. Then you have that little one. It's actually fighting the system. It's something that is in us. We have that habit of, it's a revolutionary thing. We want to fight the system. So when you get here, your first thing is to I don't like this. Why is it like this here? You're complaining. So let me ask you the question. Are you here to change the system? In fact, you cannot. Even if all of us here start fighting, we cannot change the system. What we're saying is, get your job. You want to get the job. Don't focus on the culture and the system. So I put it in small font. Don't do that. Don't feel like you're incapable. Don't criticize the food and so on. Don't change the system. Just get your job. So, this is it. I'm going to say, leave you to ask questions. ESL is a very good industry. I think I agree that it's one of the easiest ways to start in China. Whether you've been a student here or you've just arrived, but you need to do the right things. So go, job hunters. I hope that you can, get what I've been able to and keep going, because you can get to the top. Because yes, you can. Thank you, and I think you can ask questions. Okay. I hope I'm not taking too much of your time. Any questions are welcome, please.
One or two questions, because we are running out of time. Yeah, a question.
Thank you. Thank you again for your presentation. And I would like to ask if it's possible to find some French tutoring here in Shanghai. Because I've tried to find it, but I couldn't.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that question. Well, English as a second language, French as a second language, okay. So I would say I've actually seen many Chinese families are interested in learning a second foreign language now. And the hottest second foreign language right now is French. A lot of Chinese parents are looking for that. But you need to know where to look, for this. I will give you one recommendation you can try. Try the Alliance Française, right? Did I get it right? Yes. We have the Alliance Française here in Shanghai. They have lots and lots of students who want to learn French. And the thing is, Alliance Française is really expensive for them to learn French. That's where we go in. So, yes, I have the contact. I can just connect you. Okay. Any other questions?
Hello. I have two questions. You mentioned connections to get you an ESL teaching job. So what kind of connections are you talking about? And the second question is about the stigma. You talked about different stigmas, but you didn't mention the stigma that comes from the parents of the kids. Because sometimes you can be a good teacher, you can have everything that, not the recruiter, but actually it's the parents that are the problem, the grandmas, the grandpas, and the fathers, and mothers that take the kids to school. So how do you fight the stigma coming from the parents? Like, okay, the recruiter or the employer likes you and everything, but the parent or the caregiver, when he comes to school, because the kid, he looks at you and then he sees you, not what they were expecting, and then maybe you can have them complain to the administration. How do you deal with that?
Right. That's a difficult one. Let me begin with the second question, because that's still fresh in mind. Yes, it's like the private school. That's like the section of tutoring, kindergartens, and daycare. That's where the parents really come in, because parents get to come to school and see who is teaching their baby. And yeah, Chinese parents take this very seriously. They are the ones paying, so they are even able to fire you. They can tell them, well, we don't want this person, we don't want this teacher, and so on. And from my experience, what you have to do is, well, you should know that your boss, the administrative team in your school, usually they are telling parents a lot of things about you, like good things, good things, good things. I hear that all the time. They will tell the parents like, he is our teacher, that's sure, he is a veteran, but he is very good, he's very good, he's very good. They are aware of this situation. They are aware of this situation. And from my experience, what I did is, most of these parents, the main thing is they cannot communicate with us. So they think the only way to communicate, talk about us, is through the administration. And if you make one bold step, go towards the parent and talk to the parent. And what I usually say is how good their kid is. This is what most parents want to hear. Go to them, don't wait for them to talk about you. Go to them. If it's after school and they're picking up their kids, go to them. If the parent has the kid with them, say hello to the kid, then the kid says hello back to you, and parents know that you are not actually scaring your kid, but your kid is really cool being with you. So try to talk to the parents yourself. Don't always wait for the administration to convince the parents that you are a good teacher. I interact with the parents a lot. Talk to them, tell them how good your child is, what do you think your child can do to improve. That makes them see, oh, this person is really helping my child. And then the first question that you asked was about connections. Yeah, I was going to lose it. The connections are mostly first through your own network. That's where I insist. Don't start connecting with, connect from your own network. I mean fellow brothers and sisters who are in the industry, because employers really value recommendations. Connect through brothers like Sylvan, brothers, we're all here in the industry. If I send you to a school, that school is very ready to accept you because they know me and they have worked with me, which is far much better than having a recommendation letter from a strange person you don't know. Okay. I hope. Okay. Any other question?
Okay. I think
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis, for this presentation, and I hope the job hunters who like to be teachers have learned something. And I can just take one word with me, is network. The network is very important. I think since the first speaker, we always press on the fact that network is important. And for this reason, we are going to start a lot of networks for African students and Africans in China. So African Chamber of Commerce will be organizing a lot of network for you people to be able to meet professionals in specific industry. That means if you are interested in finance or marketing, we are going to organize this kind of network events so that you can interact with those first professionals. As he said, here is a little bit like Cameroon, is a little bit like Ghana, is a little bit like Cote d'Ivoire. Why? You get the job when you know somebody. So it's almost the same thing everywhere. And after this presentation of Dean, we are going to have a coffee break, and we will be back here 10 minutes later for the next part of this seminar. So for the coffee break, you have tea, you have some water, Coca-Cola at the back side. So see you later. We are having a coffee break.
Thank you.
Guys, it's so sorry. Someone is going to come over here to give you what you
You think to stand there is easy. You're right. I was just like shaking my head. I didn't want to make you guys go back. I think to stand there and talk and then answer. When you ask Danny left. He wanted to laugh. Hey. Hello, how are you?
The one who came to Africa with shots, or Messi?
Missy. Remember I have to go to the shop. Yes.
Boss, not electricity.
Originally, the person is surrounded. They'll be overwhelming. So, before people send people to join the small so we don't do some small things, just some scam. Just like just like you know, so much about it. For the past 2 weeks, I hope so after this on previous what's all about? So I was so proud.
Guys, it's a coffee break. So you can have some drinks, cold drinks and hot drinks at the backside.
Yes, we wanted so that when you say if we just say okay, straight, everybody say
Oh, il y a 70 personnes à midi. Regardez, je dis bonne chance, tout va vous être sur un.
Ouais, ça comment?
Ça change là.
Ah, tu n'es pas content, vu quand tu calmes avec tes mêmes.
On n'a pas parlé de nos vidéos d'interview.